there's something very fascinating about South Africa today, because there's a particular story about South Africa that makes South Africa an exceptional case. In fact, maybe to understand that, you might have to read quite paradoxically Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations, because it does make reference to South Africa and how, in fact, the founding of or the colonization of the Cape, which was used as a proxy for the entire territory, the southern tip of the African continent, how that would set in motion, an unprecedented type of colonialism and advancement of capitalism. And if you read in The Wealth of Nations what Adam Smith says about the evolution of global capital and where South Africa is today, you will realize that, in fact, his observations were actually correct. But also, if you read Karl Marx and Engels, I think, in the Communist Manifesto, they themselves make reference to South Africa. And this colonialism that was taking place in this territory in the southern tip of the African continent, and how that will proceed to set in motion an unseen and unexperienced and never imagined type of the evolution of contradictions that exist in society and in the world today. In fact, they do, both Adam Smith and Karl Marx paradoxically do make reference to South Africa. But then if you fast forward to, I think, a decade or so ago, and read a lecture by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the Kenyan scholar, when he was giving the annual Steve Biko Memorial Lecture. In the introduction of that lecture, he talks about South Africa and its space and its place and significance in the imagination of the people of the African continent. And that just is a reminder that these 20 years of democracy we talk about today is not just the 20 years of democracy about ourselves. Because what we have experienced has a major impact on what both Marx and Engels and Adam Smith and Ngugi talks about when they talk about, in particular, black imagination and the role of South Africa in advancing a new form of modernity, not as defined through the lenses of colonialism, but defined and sharpened through the evolution of experiences of South Africans in their diversity. And as we know, there is no other country in the world, except for Brazil to some extent, where the settler became also the inhabitant in the country, and settler became a native. There is no other, with some exceptions in Brazil. So with the settler in South Africa also becoming a native, then that in itself redefines the type of conversation we should have about the evolution of this South African democracy. And what we tried to do with this book was to give a voice to South Africans who will tell their own story of what it means to live in a democratic society.